What's up, guys? What's up? Happy Victoria Day, I think is the Canadian holiday. We have a really special treat tonight with Sphyrna mokarran, the Great Hammerhead, the largest hammerhead shark in the world. So I'm really excited. What's funny is most of our stream is Canadian. So it just dawned on me that with it being Victoria Day, I'm a little curious if we may not have as many people as we usually do. Because I remember Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I totally forgot. I don't think I even streamed that day. Because for some reason the Monday holiday kind of just really, what's the word? Confused me. I guess it kind of messed with my head. It just feeling like it's a weekend, so I don't see anybody on. So we may have a Victoria Day situation here, and if so, it's actually really funny because it's been months since. Oh my gosh, it might be a night of one. Oh my gosh. All right. It's been months since I think the Bull Shark stream and the Dusky Smoothhound stream. I kind of did that by myself, just kind of rambling into the void. And we might do that tonight with the Hammerhead. So I guess this is all for you future viewers. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you have, something cool in the background, where I guess this will be in the background, but a cool project or good cup of tea, good snack for whatever you're studying right now. Oh my God! Yeah, I think we got I think we got torpedoed by Victoria Day. I don't see anybody. Usually people are on very quickly, so I guess we'll get started and we'll see what happens. So, oh my gosh! Brought to you by Black Mint Tea. So, Great Hammerhead Shark. There's a lot. Oh my God! There's a lot to cover. There's so much information. It's probably, I would say the Scalloped Hammerhead is the most charismatic species, but the Great Hammerhead is pretty high up there, being the largest hammerhead shark in the world. It is definitely, I would think, the most distinctive looking hammerhead shark. There's nothing else like it. You cannot mistake it for anything else. Maybe from a distance, and especially if maybe you're new to hammerheads, this can be probably easily confused with the Scalloped Hammerhead, but when you really take a closer look, there's a couple things that are just superlative on this species. The enormous size. Great Hammerheads get to be, I believe it's about 20 feet, maybe even larger. The enormous first dorsal fin, which is also this wild sickle shape. It is just such a dramatic shape. And honestly, I would say, as far as the most, you know how shark fins are, or have been terrifying symbols of in our modern pop culture nightmare, with Jaws and everything. It's that classic fin in the water. I would say the Great Hammerhead shark's fin is the most the most. Hey, there's Howard, man. We got one Canadian. I was just out of the stream. It's Victoria Day, so I realized pretty late that oh wow, we might have because most of our streams are Canadian, so I realized that maybe most people might be celebrating the holiday, and they might not be here. So, but it's good to see you. How's it going? Hope you had a great weekend. Oh shoot, audio is fuzzy. Let me make sure. No. See if I can switch anything. Is this better? Let me know if it's better. Might have to switch the music out a little bit, but let me make sure I got everything else set up correctly. Let's see. We'll stop on the video for a second. Let's go switch to. Oh, nice. Okay, is this better audio, by the way? I just saw your comment. I just dropped out the family. Awesome. So, did you do anything fun for the weekend? I did the first. There's a couple places in Virginia that I believe it or not go snorkeling. Virginia. Oh, awesome. Thank you. There's a couple places in Virginia that I go for snorkeling. Believe it or not, because Virginia is not known for snorkeling. the water is usually too murky and people really don't know certain spots. But there's a place in Hampton, and it's kind of a secret spot, so that I go to, and the water was the right temperature, so it was the first snorkel of the year. So it probably doesn't show up on the camera, but I got pretty sunburnt, so it was a good day out yesterday. I didn't really see anything. It's still a little too early for really, like, because I sometimes see cow nose rays in that area, and it wasn't. I think it's still a little too early. Not a lot of fish, not a lot of rays, but I did see seagrass. It kind of reminded me of our mutual buddy Connor, Dr. Connor McDonald, because like he studies seagrass ecology and in Florida, and Virginia does have seagrass, but it's not as extensive, and I was really pleasantly surprised to see it because that area last year didn't have any, and it was cool to see like actual like little clumps of seagrass this year, which is a huge sign of like, okay, the water might be improving a little bit because seagrass needs clear water in order to get the sunshine to grow. So that was probably the biggest thing. It's not as exciting as an animal per se, but that was probably the biggest thing I got to see over the weekend. So, but yeah. So we got the Great Hammerhead tonight. We got some really cool footage and just a lot of material, and it is the largest hammerhead shark in the world, so I'm really excited. It is such a dramatic looking animal. I was kind of mentioning earlier, let's expand this picture really quick. Oh, that may not be the best photo, but there's really nothing else like the Great Hammerhead in terms of its body plan as far as hammerhead sharks go. The first dorsal fin is absolutely enormous. It is proportionally I believe it's the largest dorsal fin proportionally of all sharks. Like as far as the fin, the size, the ratio of the fin height to the body, I believe is the largest across all sharks. So it is a superlative fin. The actual cephalofoil, the head, is kind of like almost like a perfect rectangle because all other kinds of hammerhead sharks, either aside from bonnet heads, it's sort of angled inward a little bit, and for great hammerheads, it's actually more like a flat edge, which is pretty wild. I think mallet head sharks might have a flat edge too, if I'm not mistaken. But great hammerheads, their head shape is actually so comparatively like it does have like the scallops and everything, but it looks like a perfect rectangle almost, as opposed to something that's angled. And I think there are some photos here and there comparing the head shapes between the different sharks. So this is a beautiful, beautiful picture of a great hammerhead. So did not know that had the largest dorsal. Yeah, I think proportion relative to body size, I'm pretty sure great hammerheads have the largest dorsal fin. And unfortunately, that is something that makes them a huge target for finning. So because like great hammerhead fins are very valuable in that horrible shark fin trade, and it is a high target for finning, and it's part of why it is a critically endangered animal. But that aside, there's really nothing else like it. I can't think of another shark that has it as tall, because like, you know, yeah, there's no other shark, because you think of white sharks, it's like white sharks have a huge body and the fin is, you know, cool, but it's not as big. Oceanic white tips have pretty big fins, but I really don't think it reaches this kind of proportion. So pretty sure this is a superlative in the world of sharks. So, but it is an awesome looking animal. It is like the entire like shape of this thing, where it's like it's enormous. It has like kind of like that sickle shape, like these cutting edges. It is an intimidating looking animal, and it's something I really love. There's like nothing really quite as frightening as a great hammerhead shark as far as sharks go. It is and it's not, I don't believe it's necessarily an aggressive shark compared to other sharks. I mean, we'll dive into that more tonight. We'll see what we can see, but I don't really remember great hammerheads being like a very aggressive shark, but it is definitely a terrifying looking shark. So, and I mean that in the best way possible. I personally think this is gnarly. It like in the coolest way possible. It is an awesome looking animal. So, oh my gosh. So, let's see. Oh man, I mean, look at that fin. Like, that's just nuts. Look, it's like a scythe. It is so cool looking. Like it is so sharp. This thing is, oh my gosh, I love the shark. So, So yeah, found a really cool clip. This is from YouTuber Rainer Hink. So I'm gonna go ahead. Let's like and subscribe. This is really cool footage of Bimini, which is a really popular dive spot. And actually, if you watch Shark Week, I'll expand this. I might not be able to see some of the comments until I shrink this back down. But if you watch Shark Week, Bimini is a really big location, or the Bahamas in general are. Oh, I think I slowed this down. The Bahamas in general, look at that. The Bahamas in general are a very popular location for Shark Week because the water is super clear. It's pretty close to the United States. It's because like Shark Week is based. It's Discovery Channel. Discovery Channel is an American company. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter proximity to U.S. really, but I imagine maybe for travel expenses that's a bonus that the Bahamas are right next to Florida. So there's that. The water is super clear. You can get to clear water in very shallow water, and it's this flat, sandy area. It's very peaceful seas. So really great location to film. So a lot of Shark Week. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of Shark Week does take place year after year in the Bahamas. It's just a very accessible location, especially when they have guest stars. There's a lot of when they have celebrity appearances. This is a great place to be. And that aside, the Bahamas also attracts a lot of exciting sharks, like big, beefy sharks. So this species, tiger sharks, I believe bull sharks. I mean, I know bull sharks are there, but I believe Bimini is also famous for bull sharks. So nurse sharks is a big one. I believe you could still get reef sharks. So as far as charismatic species to film, this guy and the tiger shark probably are like top of the list. But look how this thing moves! It's so wild. Let me check the size on this. I'm gonna read Sharks of the World really quick. So this is, let's see, 2.69 meters. Oh no, sorry. Maximum size is six meters. So that is. I'm trying to remember what that is. Sorry, Americans do not have metric system, and I don't know why length always throws me off, but 17 feet. It's not as big as I thought it was. Did I get that right? Hold on, 6.1 times 3. 20 feet. Sorry, it is 20 feet. Right? Yeah. 20 feet. Okay. Yeah, so the maximum size for Great Hammerhead is 20 feet. Sorry, I thought that was the case. So big shark, so 20 feet or 6 meters. Most males mature male hammerheads are about 269 centimeters, sorry, or 2.5 meters. Females are 3 meters. As always, female sharks are usually bigger than male sharks, so it's pretty cool. 3 meter females. This is a coastal pelagic or semi-oceanic species over continental shelves. Likes lagoons, coral atolls, coral reefs, close inshore to well offshore, up to 300 meters. So it can go into the twilight zone a little bit, but mostly spending its days in the sunlit zone in the epipelagic zone. So let's see. Nomadic and seasonally migratory. This species likes to eat stingrays, is preferred prey, groupers, and catfishes. That's kind of interesting. And then as far as critically endangered, the species is never abundant. Populations have undergone significant declines due to exploitation in target and bycatch fisheries. The species' very high-value fins comprise nearly 1% of fins recorded in Hong Kong during 2014-15, a much smaller proportion of scalloped and smooth hammerheads. Important for dive tourism in some areas. Uh-oh. What is this? Important for dive tourism in some areas, may occasionally bite people. So maybe it is a bit more aggressive than I thought. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of other things I know about great hammerheads. They are solitary, more solitary compared to scalloped hammerheads. Scalloped hammerheads are famous for these enormous schools. Great hammerheads do tend to be more by themselves. Or they kind of keep to themselves more. They may have loose aggregations, but they do tend to be a little bit more independent, which I think is really cool, given it's like the biggest, the baddest. I kind of think that's really cool that it's just like this roaming giant in the ocean. So There's a lot of great videos on YouTube of great hammerheads just cruising in really shallow water. You can see them from the beach, and just that huge sickle-shaped dorsal fin like cutting through the waves. Great hammerheads in the Atlantic do venture as far north as, like, we've seen a few in Virginia. It's really rare up here. It is very, very rare, but it does happen. And I think that's kind of its northern limit. Is like, I want to say maybe like the New Jersey, Mid-Atlantic area is the furthest north it's ever been recorded, but it's definitely much more of a subtropical or tropical species. It really likes warm water, like most hammerheads. So, oh my god, it's so cool. Look at that. That's what I mean. Like, look how like just like how boxy that head is. Again, the other hammerheads, it's more angled, kind of towards the back. But this is one of the things that kind of really makes it distinct. Oh man. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a little nurse shark. Or that's a pretty big. That's a pretty big nurse shark, actually. Oh my gosh. So what's interesting is, in my critically endangered shark video, I did identify that some of these smaller hammerheads, like the scallop bonnethead, and what is it, the small eye hammerhead, they don't have refuge at depth. They are exclusively shallow water animals. But scalloped hammerheads and great hammerheads can go into deeper water, which is kind of unique because of their size. Like, ideally or theoretically, you would think like that would help them escape fishing pressure. But also, like, since they spend most of their time in shallow water, they do unfortunately get caught. Oh my gosh! Sorry, I'm getting so distracted by the teeth. Look at that. That is a bristly mouth. Sorry. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's actually, sorry, just kind of changing subjects. Like, that is actually kind of an interesting arrangement where that's like a weird, I've never really noticed that about great hammerheads before, where it's not just like a single row of teeth in the front of the jaw. It's actually like three rows, like three rows that seem to be functioning, which is kind of wild. I've never really noticed that about the shark. So. One thing I've heard about hammerheads in general is that they don't like dive bubbles, like scuba diving, like in the apparatus, like with the bubbles. It's something that kind of annoys them. So not sure why that is, but it's something I've heard from divers, saying that they don't really like that. Oh, there's a bull shark. That's actually really cool to see. Bull shark and great hammerhead. Look at that. This is so cool. So cool. Oh my gosh, that is a nice looking bull shark. That's a pretty good shot of that. Super cool. Look at that. Let's make sure. I just want to make sure this is still focusing on our boy. This might be shifting. I think this is shifting to bull shark. So I'll go ahead and zoom ahead a little bit. Or actually check on the comments really quick. Sorry about that. I really got kind of into that. So, thought I heard of an attack on a surfer back in the 70s by a huge hammerhead. Yeah, so that is a good point. That it does happen, because I know hammerheads. There are some hammerheads, both this species and the scalped hammerhead. I do believe they're in the shark attack file. So, in Florida, that makes sense. I do believe the scalped and the great are in the shark attack file. So. I think when I mean aggressive is like when I think of like an aggressive shark, I think more of like bull sharks or I wonder what these arrows mean. Bull sharks or I hate to call a white aggressive because I think a white shark is just more opportunistic, but the sharks that really do pose a serious danger to people, and I think this species doesn't. And actually, you can even see in the video. I mean, you know, this is a shark that is doing pretty okay with the divers. Not really being aggressive, just cruising, using very low energy, and just going after the food. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. He's sped up a little bit though. It's kind of cool to see some hammerheads. Some of the individuals here, they have like this these blotches of color. Like this one has like kind of like a smooth underside, but there's another individual that has like this blotchy face. So it's kind of cool to see variations in the color for these. Oh my god, it's beautiful, beautiful animal. I don't know if this is dumb, like, but if I saw one kind of close to shore, I would be sort of curious, like, I might get in the water. If it was a great hammerhead, I might, and the water was clear enough, I might kind of, feel okay going up to it. I don't know. I had to think about that one. I will let you know if I'm ever in that scenario. I did that with a bonnethead, but that is a much tinier shark. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep you posted if I ever do that. But a lot of great stuff to cover tonight. So, and I'm not really sure where to begin. Maybe Shark Research Institute, because I believe this is based in Bimini. So that probably is a good place to start. So bulls especially. Yes, agreed. For me, I think I've said it a couple streams ago, but for the fatal four, like the four sharks that I'm like, you can call these dangerous, and dangerous just like the way a tiger is dangerous or a lion is dangerous, in a sense. They're beautiful animals, we love them, but they do command our respect. Are bull sharks, white sharks, tiger sharks, and oceanic white tips. Those are the four, for me, that are like, yeah, these are dangerous species, and you need to watch out. And then there's a whole category of other sharks that are potentially dangerous, and the great hammerhead definitely falls into that. I would feel more comfortable with a great hammerhead than a bull, tiger, white shark, or oceanic white tip. And tigers are interesting because I know behaviorally tiger sharks are usually pretty inoffensive. Like there's so many examples of successful diving with tiger sharks. I had a colleague who described them as like the puppies of the sea. So, I mean, behaviorally it's not the worst, but it's just in terms of like its opportunism, the fact that it eats anything, the size of that animal, and the number of attacks that tiger sharks make. Like it's like, yeah, it's not something I'm comfortable with. So yet, but we'll see. So, but let's check out the great hammerhead. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. 20 feet or 6.1 meters. Strongly serrated teeth. That's really cool. So, because like the serrations, you would think that would help. Let's see what the prey items are again. Because like, I feel like with a truly like an exclusively piscivorous shark, the teeth tend to be smoother, or I don't know. Let's see. Great hammerhead feeds on a wide variety of prey, but favors stingrays, groupers, and sea catfishes. It also feeds on squid, crabs, tarpon, sardines, toadfishes, porgies, grunts, jacks, herring, grouper, boxfish, other sharks, skates, guitarfish, cows, and eagle rays. So it is a pretty wide diet. Interesting. Viviparous, so it gives live birth with a placenta. Litters range from 13 to 42. That's actually a pretty big litter. So up to 42 sharks. That is actually pretty amazing. That's a pretty large litter. Following a gestation of at least 7 months, that's actually pretty quick. Wow, really? That's as far as sharks go, that's actually a pretty good litter size, and that's a short gestation period. Interesting. Let's see. It's a solitary, nomadic, and migratory species. Some populations move poleward during their winter. Feeds mostly at dusk. A shark was seen to use the underside of its hammer-shaped head to bludgeon and pin a stingray to the seabed. That is so cool. Then a shark pivoted and bit a chunk out of the ray's pectoral fin. That is really, really cool. Interesting. Mating great hammerheads were reported witnessed in 21 meters in the Bahamas. The sharks ascended, spiraling slowly around each other and copulated at the surface. While synchronous swimming was a prelude to mating, has been observed with other species of shark. Copulation at the surface has not. Most species are thought to mate at or near the seafloor. So that's interesting. Very romantic. So the species is thought to be dangerous, though relatively few incidents have been attributed to it or any other species of hammerhead sharks. The shark has approached divers without displaying aggression. So yeah, that's kind of I think what I was referring to earlier. Like I've heard it being it's not the most, like it's an aggressive species. However, due to its size and broad food spectrum, the shark should be treated with caution. Divers have observed the shark in unbaited situations and found it to be unaggressive due to its large sizes, considered potentially dangerous. So cool, very very interesting. So. Oceanic white tips are like the polar bears. They are out in the middle of nowhere, so they can't pass up a meal. Good. Dude, I'm starring that. Good call, Howard. The good point. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm starring that. Because you're absolutely right. It's like that species. Yeah, I mean, the open ocean is like a marine desert. So yeah, that's exactly what's going on there. So, dude, good on ya. What's interesting is that's why that's also part of why oceanic whitetips are critically endangered, because that behavior actually drives them to boats, like fishing boats, and because they're so attuned to going after disturbances or blood in the water that for fishing vessels, oceanic whitetips do hone in on those, and that's part of what is contributing to their decline, unfortunately. So, but speaking of polar bears. So when I was an undergraduate, there was a Arctic research program. I never went to I never got to go, and never really. I mean, I never really was interested because I'm more of a temperate guy. But there was an Arctic research program. Oh, the Indianapolis. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I just saw your comment on that. Yeah, the USS Indianapolis, made infamous by Jaws. Was likely oceanic whitetips honing in on that sinking ship. So, yeah, that's a horrible story actually, but yeah, I mean that is a really good example of that behavior. So, but at VIMS they had this Arctic research program, and some of the students, I think they got to go to oil rigs. And I forget what they were studying. They were it was some kind of rig. I think it was an oil rig, and I forget what the study was for. But one of the precautions was when you go outside, I think you need either a bear guard or a gun or something. And they're like, why? And they're like, well, we've observed that polar bears do climb up on the rig. And then they know that the humans come out of the doors, and they will stand up behind the door. So when the door opens, they will swat you. And I've never heard of something like that before. And it sounds almost comical that a polar bear would be that smart to hide behind an opening door, and then when it closes, it swats. But that is something that they had to take precaution for. Where it's yeah, don't go outside, and if you do, you need to have 2 people or a gun, because that is something that can happen. So. Wild predators, really, really dangerous animal, actually. I'm kind of random question, because when you think of naturally human predators, I don't think I would put the sharks in that category. I would say sharks are opportunistic predators, like the white shark, bull shark, tiger, oceanic whitetip. I would say they're opportunistic, so they're not necessarily targeting humans, but they can eat humans. But when you think of human predators that could be targeting humans, I would put polar bears in that category. I would put lions in that category, tigers in that category. What do you think? What are animals that come to your mind in terms of a human predator? Because I think those 3. Leopards, probably, maybe. I don't know. Because I think as far as evolution goes, the big cats have been kind of the thing that have been really the thing that's sort of hunted us, and we've gotten more clever and have been able to evade them. But I think big cats have been our nemesis, if you will, as far as human evolution goes. But I would say some of the bears. Polar bears, wolverines. That's a good. Ooh, wolverines. I didn't think about that. Polar bears, wolverines, big cats. I did not think about that. Do you guys? This is a really dumb question, but like, do you guys have wolverines? Like in your part of Canada? Because like we have wolverines in Montana, I think. I think wolverines do come as far south as Montana. Mountain lions. Mountain lions are probably a good example. We definitely have mountain lions in the Rockies in America. Um, Really, really infrequently. This sounds like a myth, but there have been mountain lions. We are lucky the megafauna went extinct. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of amazing thinking about North America, just thousands of years ago with mastodons and many more wolves and just like more dangerous things. So predatory birds would be the thing that would freak me out. Because like the one that's left is the cassowary in Australia. Cassowaries are terrifying. Like those are modern velociraptors. Like they're absolutely terrifying, actually. But anyway, mountain lions have very, 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 very rarely been seen in Virginia. It sounds completely crazy for me to say that, but what they do is they access the Appalachian Trail or like the Appalachian Mountains from like the Canadian side, and they'll be like sticking close to the mountain range and just kind of foraging. They have like big cats have such a huge range that they will forage and will actually use that mountain pass, which is kind of like it's not really frequented. Like it's in rural areas, so it is something that has happened. I had a neighbor who saw a mountain lion, but it's extremely rare. Like I would never put a mountain lion in the field guide for Virginia, but it is a bizarre occurrence that can happen and has happened. It's just extremely rare. So we have wolverines and they're exceedingly dangerous and will stalk trappers. Wow, dude, that's crazy. That's really crazy. I can't even imagine. That is really crazy. Yikes. Well, I'm sorry, Nat. That's freaky. That is super super freaky. So, man, no worries. I got you, Stock. Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. I'm gonna close out a Shark Research Institute. There's a couple other things. This one's a new website we haven't seen before. Marine Bio. I'm kind of curious. Yeah, there we go. I'm kind of curious what this website has to offer, but I really like this comparison, and this is what I was like referring to earlier, where you see what I mean, where the Great Hammerhead, it's like this perfect square almost, and then the Scalped Hammerhead, it's curved inward, like the head shape is also angled backward. It's subtle-ish, but you can kind of see what I mean. The Great Hammerhead looks like more like a fat wedge, and the Scalped Hammerhead is a little bit more slimmer, a little bit more elegant in a way, comparatively. So, and like I kind of like that. Just this I don't know. Like I think I like that difference with the Great Hammerhead being like the largest hammerhead. I kind of like that has like a thick fat head. So. Also, I don't know if he's on tonight, but shout out to Bruce. Great Hammerhead was Bruce's pick, so hope he joins us later tonight. But I believe Bruce is also Canadian, so he might be celebrating Victoria Day. But let's see. The hammer-shaped head is thought to have evolved to maximize the area's sensory organs, such as the ampullae of Lorenzini. The hammer-shaped head also allows hammerheads to scan significantly larger areas of the bottom when hunting than other shark species. So this is gonna be cool to see. Big neck muscles, yeah. All right, let's see some more great hammerhead footage. Oop, let me turn that off. Ooh, this is a nice video. This is from Joe Romero. I'll have to go in, like, and subscribe. Okay, that's actually really beautiful. Like the black and white. That is really, really cool. So. Man, I love, I've said this before, but I love I guess charismatic or distinctive species, because there's quite a few sharks that, you know, the differences are subtle and it's really hard to tell who they are. And for this, like, there's no mistake. Like this is the one and only Great Hammerhead. It's like you cannot mistake this for anything else. And like I really like that. I think that's just extremely cool. Um, oh my gosh, look at that! Can I make that a little bit bigger? There we go. Sorry about that. So let's see if we can kind of glean anything. Excuse me for the behavior. So it's hugging close to the bottom, um, which is really cool. And we know that it likes to eat stingrays. So maybe on its patrol, that's part of the reason why it likes to be there, or kind of closer to the seabed. You know, it has this whole water column, but it's interesting that it's sticking close to the bottom of the sand. So cool. And you know, going at a nice cruise, so conserving energy. It's got this one has quite a few remora around him, and his look how close he is to the sand as well. Like this one now is a little bit higher in the water column, but or she, sorry, that's a girl. That's a really let's go ahead and like and subscribe. That's a really beautiful video. Joe Romero. Uh-oh. Might have lost everybody. Subscribe. Do. Let's get out of here. Might be fuzzy. Am I fuzzy? Searching for electrical pulses under sand. Yes, I think that's exactly what was going on with that behavior. It's really cool to see it in action. So let's see. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. With like stingrays like hiding in the seabed, so especially if that's like their favorite prey. This is Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute. We've seen this before with a couple of sharks, so this is a pretty. I really like the feel of this website, especially with like the older map. This kind of takes me back to like the 90s or 2000s, the aughts. You know, this is not a fancy looking map, and I love it for that reason. So. But it's actually interesting to see the Pacific distribution of the species going up to Baja California. Interesting enough, this is also the northern limit of bull sharks in the Pacific in this part of the world, so it's pretty interesting. Oh, that's interesting. The front margin of the head is nearly straight in adults, but it's more rounded in juveniles, so I guess baby hammerheads. Or as they grow, it gets like blunt, like straighter and straighter. It's pretty cool. With shallow central side indentations. Lower teeth straight, upper teeth oblique, and deeply notched on the rear side. Let's see if we could. I just want to get a picture of that. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see this in this figure. This is actually really cool, even though it's an older figure from sharkreferences.com. But they're talking about that tooth kind of pulling inward, like this upper tooth pulling inward, and the lower tooth being straight. This is such a great website. I love this one. This is probably my favorite shark website, sharks.com or sharkreferences.com. Oh man, look at these. That is so gnarly. Look at that. So yeah, you can see clearly like the upper teeth, like, you know, pulling backward, like pointing backward in the interior part of the mouth. And then the lower teeth these are fairly straight. This is also kind of pulling backward a little bit too, but it's not as dramatic as the uppers. So that is super cool. What a jaw set. And you could definitely see the serrations. This is cool. I wonder if I can get a better resolution. There we go. Look at that. Yikes. Look at that. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. Man. So great hammerhead teeth are awesome. And they're very fine. Look at these. The serrations on this animal, they're really, really fine, actually. I feel like white sharks have much broader serrations in this. And then the superlative, shout out to you, Howard, the Hemipristis, the snaggletooth sharks have really, really dramatic serrations, but these, for the hammerheads, I would go as far as to say they are pretty fine looking, so which is really, really cool. It's actually, this is a beautiful jaw set, so yeah. That is awesome. Awesome looking shark. So, all right. Paling slicing dentition. Yep. Yep. Just saw your comment. So, also thank you for confirming that the audio is okay. So sorry about that. Yeah, I saw on my end that the YouTube was kind of taking all the internet. But anyway, really, really cool jaw set. Oh man. Let's see. Going back to, sorry. It's cool comparing, while we're here, this older illustration. So, Rappel 1837, the first description. That's actually really cool. This is the first description of a great hammerhead shark. What I really like is that it is diagnostic. Like the bottom illustration is a little wacky. This looks so noodly and thin and like a little bit too. This is like Tim Burton Batman. Like this is like it's a little too pointy and gothic looking. I don't know, but the head shape is spot on. And what I really love about this illustration is that you can identify clearly this is a great hammerhead. Like if you showed just the head to someone, you can identify the shark to species. So it's really cool. This is a nearly 200-year-old illustration. It's actually a really beautiful illustration. And the head shape in particular is diagnostic. So that's actually extremely cool. So. And also, no offense to Tim Burton Batman. I actually very much enjoy Tim Burton Batman and the gothicness. So, just want to make that clear for future viewers. So, it's cool comparing this to a modern Great Hammerhead illustration by Mark Dando. Maybe one of the best shark illustrators out there. Mark Dando is pretty amazing. He's definitely one of my favorites. Mark Dando and I think Val Kells. I really like Val Kells' artwork. And who does the plates for Sharks of the World? Is that Sarah Fowler? Who does? No. Is that Sarah? I think that's Sarah. I don't know. But point being, Mark Dando is one of the best as far as shark illustrations goes. So it's really cool for like field guides and stuff. So. And what's cool about this is actually a diagnostic guide, so this identifies the key features to be looking for when you're trying to compare this to other hammerheads. So, first dorsal fin, very high, slender, and curved, so also known as falcate or sickle-shaped. The free rear tip in front of the pelvic fin origins. So, by the way, I still get confused on the thresher shark from last week. I was telling a friend that story, and I was like explaining to her like I screwed up the spacing between like the dorsal and anal fins and everything. I still get confused. I was trying to explain it to her, and I was like, wait a minute, it was I got so tripped up by that. So, but this is similar. This spacing here. So the free rear tip in front of the pelvic fin. So there's a little bit of space between the free rear tip of the dorsal fin and the origin of the pelvic fins. Second dorsal fin and pelvic fins high with a deep notch on posterior margins. So there's a deep notch right there, deep notch right there. Deeply notched posterior anal margin. Anal fin is about as large or larger than the second dorsal fin. So it's actually really cool. These are pretty much equal in size. Second dorsal fin, free rear tip not reaching the upper caudal origin. And yep, there's that. I love the sharpness of this shark. Like all the fins, there's no other hammerhead like this as far as I know, because scalloped hammerheads have pretty rounded fins by comparison, but for this it's like, you know, It's so great looking. It's like it's so dramatic. It's so sharp. like sharp pectoral, sharp dorsal, sharp pelvic, sharp anal, sharp caudal. It's wild looking. Anterior margin nearly straight and with a median indentation. So super cool looking animal. Super cool. So. Let's go over to back to the Tropical Research Institute. Where is that? See if there's anything else we can find. This is more diagnostic stuff. I really want to see if we can get some more behavioral things. I'm very interested in the behavior. Yeah, I don't think we have anything here. Let's see. Let's check another thing. Let's dive over to the Australia Museum. This is slowly becoming a new favorite for me. I'm really enjoying what this website has to offer. The alternative name is the Hohead shark. So I'm assuming it's a pretty good name actually. Just I'm assuming it's because of like the tool, the hoe. So, but anyway, let's see if we get some cool behavioral things on this. Here we go. Hammerheads possess the largest, most complex brain of all sharks. Interesting. Mantas and devil rays have the largest brain of all elasmobranchs. Oh, I did not know that. Wait a minute. Hammerheads possess the largest and most complex brain of all sharks. Mantas and devil rays have the largest brain of all elasmobranchs. Interesting. Large to process a diverse array of sensory information from the lateral line and electric and magnetic fields. Very cool. Didn't know that. Hammerhead sharks, I think they're talking about hammerhead sharks in general, but hammerhead sharks have eyes on the head, on the ends of the hammer-shaped head, which gives the shark excellent binocular vision. A hammerhead can improve its stereoscopic vision even further by rotating its eyes and sweeping its head from side to side, allowing for almost 360-degree vision. Super cool. I think that was something we might have talked about with the bonnethead video too, but that's still extremely cool to kind of imagine that. So, smell and taste are extremely important to a shark. The nostrils have highly sensitive membranes, which can pick up even the trace of amino acids in the water. Large olfactory organs in the brains process information, enable the shark to zero in the source. This is kind of sharks in general. I'll read this because like all sharks can do electrosensing, but let's just kind of do it as a nice refresher. Electrosensing is a most extraordinary shark sense and can detect tiny electric fields given off by living animals, inanimate objects, and even water over the Earth's magnetic fields. Using the special jelly-filled sensory organs known as the ampullae lorenzini, sharks and hammerheads especially can detect prey at close quarters up to 50 centimeters even when hidden. Hammerheads with their large, broad wing-like heads have more ampullae than any other group of sharks. This allows them to quickly and accurately locate prey buried in the sand. A hammerhead's ability to detect electric fields is also used to orient sharks within the Earth's magnetic fields, allowing for cross-ocean migrations. Smooth hammerheads, Sphyrna zygyna, use the sense to follow magnetic highways along the ocean floor, linking their daytime aggregation sites and nighttime nocturnal feeding sites. Interesting. So it's a little bit broader than we wanted for our species of hammerhead, but still helpful. So still nice information. So let's see, we looked at that. We'll save IUCN Red List for a little bit. Maybe we should check out Florida Museum of Natural History. So Florida Museum of Natural History. Great Hammerhead is the largest of the hammerheads. Talking about sharks in general, the ampullae lorenzini. Common names: Great Hammerhead, Squat-headed hammerhead shark. Other common names in different languages. Oh, I like this, the Finnish one. Isovasarahai. 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 I really like that. So, that's a cool name. Oh, I like the Greek one too. Megalozygyna. That's really cool. Or no, Megalozygyna or Megalozygyna. Very very cool. Damn, it's some pretty badass names. Danger humans. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. According to the International Shark Attack File, there have been 17 unprovoked attacks with no fatalities for all species of the genus Sphyrna. So this will include great hammerheads, scalloped hammerheads. I don't think smooth hammerheads have been implicated in an attack. I might be wrong on that, but I don't remember seeing smooth hammerheads being implicated in shark attacks. I've definitely seen scalloped and great hammerheads, though. However, few of the attacks can be directly attributed to species, as it is generally difficult to distinguish among hammerheads involved in attacks. Due to its large size, the variety of the species should be treated with respect and caution. Conservation, I think we'll save for the redless. Oh, this is cool. Oh, nice. Okay, I really like this. This is cool seeing the distribution. And if you zoom in, it's hard to tell, but you can really see what I was talking about earlier, where you can kind of see around Cape Hatteras in North Carolina, as far as its northern range. It's definitely been seen in Virginia. I've been told I'm crazy for saying that, but like when you look at some of our records, like especially like news stories or fishing reports, you actually do see great hammerheads in the Norfolk Canyon area, and all the way up to New Jersey, and it looks like definitely New Jersey. It looks like theoretically it could go up to New York City, like New York City, Long Island. I think Long Island, based on this map, it looks like Long Island is probably the northern range limit. So let's say New Jersey, because I'm pretty sure I've heard of it being in New Jersey, and it's ecologically the same as Virginia for the most part. So as far as the Atlantic goes, sorry. Mostly warm temperate or subtropical or tropical distribution. So very cool. Let's get out of here. Oh, here we go. Ranges from North Carolina. Yeah, no, it's more than North Carolina. It's New Jersey. Maybe New York. Let's see. Okay. This is more like the description and more about hammerheads in general. I'm a little surprised. I feel like there should be more behavioral stuff. Clinical, size, age, and growth. The world record great hammerhead was caught off Sarasota, Florida, weighing 991 pounds or 450 kilos. The largest reported length of great hammerhead is 20 feet. Expected lifespan of the species is 20 to 30 years of age. An average great hammerhead is 500 pounds or 230 kilos. Interesting. Big shark. Let's see. In Australia, males reach maturity at a length of 7 feet or 2.25 meters, corresponding to a weight of 113 pounds or 51 kilograms. And females mature at a total length of 6.9 feet to 2 meters or 2.1 meters. 90 pounds or 41 kilograms. Let's see. Ooh, larger sharks will prey on juvenile and subadult great hammerheads, so it is cannibalistic. Interesting. There are no major predators of the adults. Fascinating. We got taxonomy. Sphyrna translates from Greek to English as hammer. I'm actually curious where the word mokarran. Oh. Yeah, this is a little bit more general too. Not a lot of information specifically on our hammerhead. And again, behaviorally, I'm very curious. Like, I mean, because again, it's a very charismatic species. I'm a little bit surprised so far that there's not more behavioral information. We'll keep digging. But let's see. Let me check up on the comments. So, oh, thanks, Howard. Sorry, I didn't notice that the audio got a little fuzzy there. So, thanks for calling it out. So, We've got our trusty fish base, and this is kind of an interesting report, status review report. I'm thinking what we should probably do is check up on IUCN Red List in terms of why this is a critically endangered shark, and then we can kind of go into this report and maybe see if we can find some more footage on the Great Hammerhead. So here we go. Great Hammerhead, we're on IUCN Red List, is critically endangered, and unfortunately it is decreasing in population. This is a wild-looking range map. It's interesting to see. That's actually a bit more extended than the Florida Museum of Natural History one. I've seen this before a while ago, but it looks like it updated. It's pretty interesting to see. So, interesting. Assessment information in detail. So, the Great Hammerhead is a large coastal and semi-oceanic pelagic shark, wide-ranging in tropical and warm-tempered seas to 300 meters. It is caught globally as target and bycatch in coastal and pelagic large and small-scale longline, purse seine, and gillnet fisheries, and is often retained for the fins. It has a long lifespan of up to 44 years and only breeds once every 2 years, which combined with a high bycatch mortality makes it susceptible to depletion, whereas taken in unmanaged fisheries. So it's interesting because we talked about earlier, it has kind of a short gestation period compared to other sharks, but it breeds once every 2 years. So that's probably, yeah. So even though it's a short gestation period, the break, a lot of sharks do take a break between breeding seasons. So yeah, that actually makes sense as far as like that's what's contributing to the slow population growth. The Great Hammerhead appears to have undergone steep declines in the Indian Ocean, Mediterranean Sea, and the Atlantic prior to management measures, where slow recovery may now be occurring in the Northwest Atlantic. Okay, I like that. The global population is estimated to have undergone reductions of 50 to 62%, with the highest probability of 80% reduction over 3 generation lengths. There's a lack of data from the Pacific, limited regional representation in some time series, intensive fisheries in data-poor regions that are suspected to have driven significant declines, and uncertainty about levels of exploitation that are potentially similar to those of the scalloped hammerhead, Sphyrna lewinii, which is also critically endangered. Expert judgment elicitation thus used a precautionary approach and concurred with the highest probability of reduction of 80% over 3 generation lengths. The Great Hammerhead is therefore assessed as critically endangered. So, interesting. What I'm hopeful about, especially if they're saying there's a slow recovery possibly occurring in Northwest Atlantic, and it is a very popular species for dive ecotourism, but in that part of the world. But like, what I am hopeful about, since this is the gist is that we're kind of doing this as a precaution, like the critically endangered is sort of like the precaution, and I support that in terms of just be more conservative and be more protective than like as opposed to not. Like I'm hopeful that this status may improve in the future. So this is not like the Pondicherry shark or the lost shark, where the critically endangered is probably going to turn for the worse. I'm hopeful that great hammerheads will recover and improve in status. So that's my hope. I think it is possible. I think it can happen. You know, that's what I'm hoping for. So, but currently in a precarious position. Let's see what conservation stuff is going on. What are we doing to help it? So, the success of actions agreed through wildlife and fisheries treaties depends on implementation at a domestic level. For sharks, such follow-up actions have to date been seriously lacking. In 2010, the International Commission of Conservation of Atlantic Tunas, ICAT. ICAT's really important for sharks in general. That's one of probably the more famous treaties or conservation like bodies, if you will. Prohibited retention, transshipment, landing, and sale of the great hammerhead and other hammerhead species for ICAT fisheries operating in the convention area. There are exceptions for local consumption in developing countries, provide the cap catches, meeting catch data reporting requirements, and ensure fins are not traded internationally. Let's see. The Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission identified the great hammerhead as a key shark species, but has yet to adopt hammerhead catch limits. The General Fisheries Commission for the Mediterranean banned retention and mandated careful release of the great hammerhead and 23 other elasmobranch species listed on the Barcelona Convention Annex 2. Implementation by General Fisheries Commission for Mediterranean has been slow. Several proposals to ban hammerhead landings and or set regional hammerhead fishing limits through the Inter-American Tropical Tuna Commission, I don't think it gets, IATTC, whatever, have been defeated. This is big. In 2013, the great hammerhead was added to Appendix 2 of the Conservation of International Trade and Endangered Species sites. So this is one of the very few site sharks. I think there's like about 30 species in total that are on sites. So based on similarity to the scalped hammerhead. The listing requires sites parties to ensure that exports be accompanied by permits based on findings that parts are sourced from legal and sustainable fisheries. In 2014, the great hammerhead was listed on Appendix 2 of the Convention on Migratory Species CMS, which reflects parties' commitments to work regionally towards conservation. The species is also covered by CMS Memorandum of Understanding for Migratory Sharks, which is aimed at facilitating conservation. To allow recovery, it is recommended that all great hammerhead retention and landings be prohibited, at least as long as the global population is classified as critically endangered or endangered. Initiatives to prevent capture, minimize bycatch mortality, promote safe release, and improve catch, including discard reporting, are also urgently needed, as is full implementation of additional commitments agreed through international treaties. Interesting. So, kind of diluting that down, this shark is on some of the most important, and I think maybe all of the most important conservation organization. Like as far as a shark of focus, the great hammerhead is one of the top. It's up there with whale sharks. It's up there with white sharks, mako sharks, other hammerheads. Those are probably, from just a conservation standpoint, in terms of like treaties and commissions and things that we can do where it's like we're keeping our eye on the species and we have to really, create policies around a species. The great hammerhead is very, 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 very much on the radar for that, which is good. Unfortunately, there's some bodies that, they say they're going to help and do something, but they're not really implementing anything. But there's other bodies where, like, CITES and CMS, like, those are pretty important. They're pretty, as far as sharks go, it's kind of like, it's so far, I think, some of the best that we have, like as far as, like, those international bodies, so, which is pretty interesting. So, ICRLS usually has a pretty good profile. I'm curious if it might have some behavior stuff. Let's see. Let me check up on the comments, too. No comments. So let's see, behavior, habitat and ecology. Great hammerhead is generally solitary, coastal and semi-oceanic pelagic shark that occurs close inshore. I'm really shocked. This is interesting. We're just seeing that it's a solitary animal. This is very, very interesting. There's not a lot of stuff. Huh. Just checking the threats really quick. Pain for fins. At vessel mortality is estimated as 56% of shark bottom long lines. This is actually a really good reminder. Hammerhead sharks in general are very, very sensitive to fishing biologically. If we go back to the video really quick, this is definitely one kind of shark species that has to keep swimming in order to breathe. It cannot stop swimming. It is an obligate ram ventilator, so it needs to constantly swim to pump water over its gills. When hammerhead sharks get hooked or caught up in something, they do not last long. I believe the average is 1 hour. Most sharks last about 3 to 6 hours, but hammerheads really cannot last very long if they are hooked, because they absolutely need to keep swimming in open water to pump oxygen over the gills, and it is something that they need. So even though this is the biggest hammerhead and one of the most impressive looking sharks out there, It is still a hammerhead, and hammerheads are sensitive to fishing pressure. So, or to like not fishing pressure, but I mean fishing pressure, but fishing methods. It is something that does stress them out quite a lot. So, um, let's see. Just wanted to make a point of that because that reminded me of that. So, and that applies to all hammerheads. So. Howard, I don't think it is studied as some of its relatives, which is odd. I agree. I find that bizarre actually because it's like it's a shallow water shark. It is a charismatic, enormous shallow water shark in clear water. So you'd think we would know a lot about it, right? You know, it's very odd. It's a good that's a good point. It's really throwing me off. Like it's throwing both of us off. It's really strange. So hopefully I found something really cool. The status review report. This might be more conservation. I won't read any like the whole thing out loud line for line. I've been doing that with IUCN and Red List because I know great hammerheads are like really important from a conservation standpoint. So I think it was important to kind of read that more line for line. But this is the NOAA is the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration of the United States. This is one of the most important bodies as far as ocean science and study and policy. It probably is our leading department as far as anything to do with the ocean, anything to do with fisheries management, because I think. Or not fisheries man. Well, just anything to do with the ocean is NOAA. Like NOAA is the NASA of the sea. It is probably the best analogy for it. So, and I mean, and yes, fisheries management. Sorry, it's Monday. So, but yeah. So we'll dive into this. I've never really seen this before. I pulled it open because it seemed interesting. But and again, I won't read anything out loud. In fact, I might just grab a really quick glass of water. I'll be right back. Let me actually put up the video really quick while I grab that. Da, da, da. All right. You know what I'm kind of wondering now I'm thinking about it is scalloped hammerheads. There's been a lot of behavioral studies with scalloped hammerheads and bonnetheads, and scalloped hammerheads and bonnetheads have been kept in like aquaria, but then again, great hammerheads have too. I think great hammerheads. There are some aquariums that do have great hammerheads. So I was about to say that maybe scalloped hammerheads and bonnetheads have been observed more closely in a controlled setting, and that's why there's more information on them as opposed to this guy. But then again, I think he can be in a controlled setting. I think great hammerheads, there are studies with great hammerheads, so, but it's so odd. You know, like we've seen sharks that, like the Port Jackson shark is one that I'm thinking of, where Port Jackson shark like has a lot of little quirks. You know, it just like wedges itself in rocks, and you know, like just kind of like. It has a lot of nuances, like, you know, it's just discarded by fishermen. Like, they take a look at it, throw it back, and it's a safe, happy shark. There's, like, a lot of little quirks here and there. Or the shy shark. Like, the shy shark covers its head with its fin. And this is a beautiful-looking shark, and it's so charismatic. But it's interesting that we're not really seeing a lot of different, like, nuances other than it's solitary. As far as hammerheads go, it's a solitary kind of hammerhead. So, and maybe that's what it is. It's you know, it's so solitary that there's not really a lot to study about it. I don't know. It's just, which is highly unlikely. Like I'm sure that's far from the truth. As far as there's plenty to learn, but I don't know. Let's dive into the NOAA report and kind of see what we can see. It's an amazing animal, but I think we're on the same page in terms of it's shocking how. I thought we would get more information on it, so let's see what we got. So this is the status review report for the Great Hammerhead Shark, Sphyrna mokarran, as prepared by NOAA. That's a good point. I just saw your comment, Howard. probably harder to find and film than the scalped hammerhead. Maybe, because I think there's more locations where you can run into the scalped hammerhead than a great hammerhead. So that's a fair point on that. So, let's see. This is prepared by Dr. John Carlson, Miss Leanne Hogan, Dr. Donald Kobayashi, Miss Margaret Miller. So, oh, and this is NIMS, National Marine Fisheries Service. This is cool. All right, here we go. And again, I won't read the whole thing. Just gonna scan this with like my cup of tea and some Uncharted music. So. Female great hammerhead sharks are viviparous and breed only once every 2 years, so that's confirming that. Litter sizes range from 6 to 42 pups, confirming that as well. Overall, great hammerhead shark exhibit life history traits and population parameters that are intermediary among other shark species. Interesting. That's actually really interesting that this phrasing, this is like a little nitpick, but I don't think this is a typo. You notice how it says great hammerhead shark exhibit? So using shark as plural, I don't think it's a typo. I think you can technically do that. But then again, they do say female great hammerhead sharks, plural. So, I don't know. That's a small little nitpick, but I think you can kind of say, I think you can use the word shark itself as a plural. But that's more antiquated. I don't think that's something that, it's definitely not common. I do think is technically valid. You could do that, but I don't know. Anyway. Unlike scalloped hammerhead sharks, great hammerheads are generally solitary species and are rarely recorded in fisheries data. This is kind of supporting what you just said, Howard. Like, it's a bit rarer. As such, very few studies have examined trends in the great hammerhead abundance, and those that have are burdened with significant uncertainty in their results due to limited number of observations, large error bars, and highly sensitive models. Interesting. Based on a review of the best available information, the ERI team determined that there does not exist any population segment of the great hammerhead shark that would qualify as a distinct population segment, or DPS, as defined by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. As such, the team evaluated the extinction risk of the global great hammerhead shark population. Okay. So what I'm looking for as I'm scanning this is because this is definitely very, very formal and very much more about like the population demographics of the shark and like how it's doing and recommendations and stuff like that. But usually within that, in these kind of studies, there's background, and I'm kind of looking for the background, just kind of learning more about the shark itself. If there's kind of new facts. Let's see. Let's see. That's interesting. Overutilization and inadequately regulatory mechanisms are likely increasing the species extinction risk, but only in combination with other threats or factors, whereas other threats, habitat destruction, modification, curtailment, were identified as having either unknown or no or very low effects on the extinction risk. So it's saying primarily overfishing and inadequate regulation is what's really hurting this. So for the current level of extinction risk, the team expressed significant uncertainty with little distinction between identified risk categories of no or very low risk, moderate risk of extinction. Man. The team reiterated the great hammerhead shark is likely naturally low in abundance, and the available data is severely lacking or flawed, with no clear or consistent implication regarding the past or present status of the great hammerhead shark. In predicting the overall level of extinction risk through the next 50 years, the team indicated increased confidence that the great hammerhead shark would be at a no or very low or low risk of extinction. This is really interesting. The team noted the available information indicated that most of the observed declines occurred in the 1980s before any significant management regulations. Since then, current regulatory measures in many parts of the Great Hammerhead range are minimizing threat of overutilization. The team predicted that through the next 50 years, the species would be unlikely to be at risk of extinction due to demographic risks or threats to the point where the species would be influenced by stochastic or dispensatory processes. Now, this is extremely interesting. When was this? This is 2014. This is really, really interesting. So this is about 9 years old. And when you compare to the IUCN Red List, this assessment was updated 2018. So that, or, okay, data assessed 2018. So that's 5 years old. And these are telling different stories. Critically endangered and IUCN Red List versus low risk, moderate risk of extinction as a global population. And by NOAA, NOAA is, I mean, it's not Mickey Mouse. It is, these are bona fide real scientists who are, they know what they're doing. So that's actually extremely interesting. And I'm wondering, I think there is a correlation where this is saying that the data is very flawed or maybe not really something that you can rely on as much. And the IUCN Red List, it was saying that we are guesstimating that, it is a really serious decline. Where it wasn't as firm as some of the other assessments as we've seen. Let's see. Estimated undergone reductions of 50 to 62%, with the highest probability of over 80% reduction over 3 generation lengths. This is very interesting. And uncertainty about levels of exploitation that are potentially similar to those of scalped hammerhead. Expert judgment elicitation thus used a precautionary approach and concurs the highest probability of reduction of over 80%, which is critically endangered. So this is really interesting. If this assessment is precautionary, and then this is saying that it is actually maybe possibly a lower risk of extinction or the data is very flawed, we might be okay overall with this shark. Like, we might not lose the great hammerhead, hopefully. For me personally, I just want to be on the safe side and still focus on this status. Again, biologically, hammerheads are very, very, very sensitive to fishing. Like their entire physiology is like they cannot, they have to keep swimming. They cannot really last long if they're accidentally caught as bycatch on a hook or in a net. And they are a shallow water shark that interacts with humans feels human pressure very often. And globally, it is a wide-ranging species in areas that have protection and areas that have basically no protection. So I want to err on the side of critically endangered. I think that makes sense for the kind of animal that this is. But I am happy to kind of see that IUCN Red List is saying this is a precautionary approach, and that NOAA is saying, I don't know about, some of the data is really flawed, and it may be a lower risk of extinction after all. So this is really interesting. It's kind of bizarre, but let's see. I just need to catch up in the comments, but I was just kind of piecing that together live. So let's see. Oh, I just saw that. One individual has a hook in the cephalofoil. In that video we were just seeing, I just noticed that too. It sounds like they need more research. It would be a great shark to study. Agreed. I'm starring those, man. I'm definitely starring those. Again, one of my favorite parts of our stream is that it's just hit after hit. There's so many areas to study. There's so much opportunity in sharks still. Like we're in 2023, and like if for future viewers, if you are an aspiring shark scientist, you have a job. Like there's things you can do because there's so much going on and there's so much territory that we still don't really know. It's astounding to me and very exciting to me because we could still be, in this year of so much data and information, and there's still stuff we don't know. And this is a great example. And it's such a charismatic species. It's such a, it's the famous species that's on every Shark Week, every nature special almost, and we don't know much about it. So good point. Like I agree. It is definitely a great shark to study, and we need more information, especially for this for conservation and population dynamics. Like excellent shark to study. Let's see. Life history and ecology. Let's go ahead and see. This might be some good stuff. Let's see what we got. Oh, this is cool. This is a fun little thing. All hammerhead sharks belong to the family Sphyrnidae and are classified as ground sharks, or order Carcharrhiniformes. So it's been a long time since I've heard that term, ground sharks. I don't really like it personally. I feel like it doesn't communicate any information. Versus lamniforms are mackerel sharks, and I feel like that kind of communicates information. Like a mackerel shark is it's a mackerel eating shark for the most part. Like makos, white sharks, you kind of get what it is. Ground shark makes no sense. It's such a diverse order that it's kind of a silly name personally. But anyway. Most hammerhead sharks belong to the genus Sphyrna, with one exception, the winghead shark, Eusphyra blotchii. I think, Howard, you mentioned this shark a couple streams ago, or even the last stream, but the winghead shark. So that's actually really cool that they mention that here. The Great Hammerhead is the largest hammerhead. Strong and serrated teeth, strongly falcate first dorsal fin, pelvic fins, fusiform body. Okay. Great hammerhead shark is a circumtropical species that lives in coastal pelagic and semi-oceanic waters. It occurs over the continental shelves as well as the adjacent deep waters and may be found in coral reefs and lagoons. So I kind of love and I'm a little terrified of the idea of a hammerhead in a lagoon. I don't know. It's like just it's a shallow body of water and you think you're safe, but it's a giant animal that's in there. So it's really cool. Let's see. Great hammerhead sharks are generally solitary and highly mobile. There we go. Maximum distance traveled to be 1,180 kilometers and a maximum time at liberty of 4 years. Interesting. A more recent study tracked a great hammerhead shark migrating at an even greater distance with a minimum distance of 1,200 kilometers in 62 days. Wait a minute. Let's kind of calculate that really quick. 19 kilometers a day. This shark can swim 19 kilometers a day. That's pretty crazy. Let's see. Let me convert kilometers to miles. 19. That's 12 miles. 12 miles a day. That's pretty cool. It appeared to follow the Gulf Stream from the Florida Keys to 500 kilometers off the coast of New Jersey. Aha. Interesting. Some great hammerhead shark populations are thought to make poleward migrations following warm water currents, such as those found off of Florida's coast. While others are thought to be residential populations with only seasonal incursions into cooler waters due to range expansions, not true migrations. That's interesting. Okay. Great hammerhead sharks also appear to prefer warmer water temperatures above 20 degrees Celsius. Females were caught rarely in waters less than 22 degrees Celsius, and males, although apparently more tolerant of cooler waters, became scarce when temperatures dropped below 20 degrees. Interesting. Yep, so it likes warm water. Oh, this is cool. I forget how this works, kind of, but this is kind of cool. The great hammerhead shark is also a high trophic level predator, trophic level 4.3. So there are, I forget exactly how you calculate these things, but trophic levels being you have primary producers like phytoplankton, and then primary consumers like zooplankton, then secondary consumers like little herring or fish that eat the zooplankton, then tertiary consumers that eat the little fish, so like big fish, like let's say bass, and then I guess top predators, apex predators that eat the bass, like the hammerhead. So that's like those. That's basically trophic levels, like the food chain, and you can get really detailed with it. And like I think this study by Cortez in 1999 probably did that in terms of like ranking everything by trophic level, like how high is it up on the food chain if you had to really drill down. So that's actually really cool. I forgot that you can actually get more granular with trophic levels. But sorry, random thing that caught my eye. So it's an opportunistic feeder that with a diet that includes a wide variety of teleosts, cephalopods, crustaceans, preference for stingrays and other batoids. Ooh, check this out. There we go. This is good. This is good. Sphyrna mokarran, or great hammerhead, seems to be immune to stingray and catfish venom, sometimes found with barbs embedded in their mouths. So, let me read that again. Great hammerheads seem to be immune to stingray and catfish venom. That's actually really, really cool. So, oh, I just saw your comment, Howard. They are the oldest. The winghead shark is the oldest hammerhead species. This is super cool. Like from an evolutionary perspective, that's actually really cool, and it like it's such a radical shape that I kind of like that that's the older group, and that the more conservative hammerheads are the younger group. So it's actually really cool. Let's see. It's been used to. Okay, it has been observed to use its uniquely shaped head or cephalofoil to pin down or prey upon stingrays. This type of prey handling may be unique to the species, but very few observations of predation events of great hammerheads or other Sphyrnidae have been made. And this actually kind of tracks with what we were seeing earlier. Stomach analysis of the great hammerhead suggests that the species primarily feeds at or near the seafloor. So that tracks with what we were seeing in some of the footage where it was really cruising close to the bottom. This might be a little biased with like the divers and like the bait at the bottom, but let's see if we can get some shots earlier without the divers. I don't know if you could see that, like this one. Like that's actually really cool. Yeah, there we go. That's a good shot of sticking to the bottom, and the fact that it feeds primarily at the seabed. That tracks with that. So super cool shark. Let's see. Compared to other hammerhead species, the great hammerhead has a faster growth rate and thus matures at an earlier age, between 5 and 9 years. Interesting. This one might be okay. We might have more hope for this species than the scalloped hammerhead. That's kind of wild. Because you think, I don't know, there's part of me is like, if it's bigger, it's usually riskier. Which is a dumb rule of thumb, but it is interesting. Patrician occurs in late spring or summer in northern hemisphere. Southern hemisphere birthing occurs between October and November in Australia, between December and January off northern Australia. Oh, although young of the year and juveniles may be found utilizing shallow inshore and coastal waters, pupping appears to occur farther offshore. Oh, interesting. In terms of size, a great hammerhead shark could reach lengths of over 610 centimeters, like we've talked about before. However, individuals greater than 400 centimeters are rare. This is attributed to larger great hammerhead sharks to overfishing. The oldest female and male great hammerhead sharks are estimated to be 44 and 42 years old, respectively. Excuse me. Oh, wow. Okay, we're getting a lot of information here. This is great. Male great hammerhead sharks are thought to grow faster than females, but reach a smaller asymptotic size. Which makes sense. Again, female sharks are usually bigger than males. Oh. Although there are very few age growth studies for the great hammerhead shark, the available data indicate that great hammerhead sharks are a long-lived species and can be characterized as having low productivity based on the productivity parameters categorized in music, so that's Jack music, making them generally vulnerable to depletion and likely to slow to recover from overexploitation. Due to sampling constraints, very few studies have examined the population structure of the great hammerhead shark. It is thought that there are two distinct clusters of great hammerhead shark, one of the Atlantic and the second cluster of specimens from Australia and Borneo. So, sorry. So this group could be one, or this could be one population of great hammerheads, and I'm assuming this and possibly Indian Ocean could be another cell population of great hammerheads, which is interesting. That would actually make sense because the ranges don't overlap, right? Maybe in the Pacific they overlap, but like in the Atlantic, you can't get around southern Africa, and it doesn't seem to be like the shark could go through. Is that the Suez Canal to get to the Mediterranean from the Red Sea? So interesting. It seems they eat relatively small prey to their body size. That's a good point, Howard. Yeah, it's actually kind of fascinating that it's such a large animal, but like it is like it's not really like it doesn't go after marine mammals. It doesn't go after sea turtles. And what's interesting, I think we've in a couple of other streams with hammerheads, we've talked about how proportionally hammerheads, even though they have the largest fins, they actually have the smallest mouths compared to body size. So I'm wondering if that's like a hammerhead thing in general, because they typically have like a smaller mouth relative to the shark's overall size than other sharks. So like a 10-foot great hammerhead and 10-foot bull shark is probably going to have a bigger mouth relative to the body size. So I'm wondering if that's related to the concept that they might be eating smaller prey, which is kind of interesting. So, but that's a good point. You know, it's such a big animal, and yeah, it is like more of a piscivorous shark. So, let's see. There's currently no evidence for sex-based or sex-biased dispersal, as was found for scalloped hammerheads. Interesting. Overall, great hammerhead. I think this is an interesting sentence. Overall, great hammerhead sharks exhibit life history traits and population parameters that are intermediary among other shark species. Great hammerhead sharks. These demographic parameters place great hammerhead sharks towards a moderate to faster growing sharks along the fast slow continuum. The population parameter is calculated for 38 species of sharks. These species generally have moderate potential to recover from exploitation. Interesting. When we went into the stream, I was not expecting. This is a really nice surprise. I was not expecting this. Kind of doing the stream tonight, where I'm used to hammerheads being critically endangered, and I was not expecting this nuance of like, yeah, hammerheads, they might end up okay. That's a huge takeaway. I'm really pleasantly surprised by what we're learning tonight, where it's like, yeah, it might not be as bad as we think. So fascinating. This is beautiful. This is a really nice map. This is the ice and red list layered with a nice bathymetric map of the ocean, so it's actually really cool. It's cool seeing, it's a shallow water shark. It's interesting seeing it appear in this cluster of islands in the South Pacific, but not really anywhere else, not in the basins, That's actually really, even in the Caribbean, like when you look at this, or the Gulf of Mexico, it is hugging the coast. It's not, shown to be really in the open sea. So it's actually kind of fascinating. As primarily warm water species, great hammerheads are most often seen in the catches of tropical fisheries. They are generally not a target species, but due to their large fins with high fin needle content, a gelatinous product used to make shark fin soup, they are valuable as incidental catch for the international shark fin trade. There's very little information on the abundance of great hammerhead sharks, with only occasional mentions in historical records. Although more countries and regional fishery management organizations are working towards better reporting of fish catches down to species level, catches of great hammerheads have gone and continue to go unrecorded in many countries outside of the United States. Also, many catch records that do include hammerhead sharks do not differentiate between the Sphyrna species or shark species in general. These numbers are also likely underreported, as many catch records reflect dressed weights instead of live weights or do not account for discards. Thus, given this type of data, species-specific population trends for great hammerheads worldwide are not readily available. Total catches of hammerhead family Sphyrnidae have increased since the 90s, from 75 tons to 6,000. 75 tons to 6,000 in 2010. Although great hammerhead meat is considered essentially unpalatable due to its high urea concentration, some countries still consume the meat domestically or trade it internationally. Also, PSA, most sharks have high urea concentration in their bodies, and also being top level predators, most sharks have a lot of other things in their bodies that are not good to eat. Please do not eat sharks. It's not good food, so it's not right to do. But seriously, that's not uncommon that sharks have high urea concentration in their bodies. It's yeah. So let's see. As great hammerhead shark is a global, highly migratory species that crosses international boundaries, they are often caught as bycatch in the convention areas of regional fisheries management organizations for highly migratory fish stocks. Interesting. And there we go. It's listing some of the big ones. So we talked about ICAT, the International Commission for the Conservation of Atlantic Tunas. We talked about this one, the Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission. Oh man, that's a lot of information actually. IATTC. The Indian Ocean Tuna Commission, IOTC. Have you ever seen that movie Seaspiracy? I'm actually curious. I forget which. I don't know if any of these. Seaspiracy was targeting some of the tuna fisheries, and I forget which. I think it was targeting one of the commissions, and I forget which one it was. So. But That's a very controversial movie in the marine science and fisheries community, but I kind of think it's interesting to not only watch it but like watch the debate around it. That came out 2 years ago. Conspiracy. Roy, what's up, man? Happy Victoria Day. I just noticed your comments. So what's up, man? Um, yeah, Seaspiracy. I have to be really careful. So this is actually really interesting. Like I may have to next week, depending on who sees this, I may have to pull out the Mr. Toad tea mug. But Seaspiracy is an extremely controversial documentary on fisheries, and there's aspects of it I do like. And there's aspects of it I do believe deserve criticism, but it is very it really did get a lot of attention when it came out, and it was the center of a lot of interesting back and forth between like fisheries management and scientists and the public. It really made a lot of waves actually, and but it is very controversial. So I think it's worth a look, but it is a very controversial documentary. So and it was targeting fisheries management in general, and I forget which one. I forget there was a body in there like a tuna commission body, and I forget which one because we're looking at tuna commission stuff, or international bodies, the Indian Ocean Tuna Commission or ICAT or the Inter-American Tropical Tuna Commission. So yeah, it's an interesting movie. I think just kind of for the times, it's fascinating to watch, and it's fascinating to watch the debate. So I would recommend maybe watching it and then also reading up on the controversy and the debate around it. So fascinating movie. But welcome to the stream, Roy. So just to kind of catch up, Howard and I have been examining the Great Hammerhead, and for the first part. So you've seen. I just saw your comment. You've seen Seaspiracy. Yeah, I feel similar. And before watching Seaspiracy, I kind of had a policy for me personally. Just to be completely transparent, I try not to eat seafood in my personal life. If I'm a guest somewhere, or if it's a special occasion, I will have it. But for groceries or for if I'm at a restaurant, I have options. I really try not to eat seafood, and it's mostly I don't know where this came from, and I'm very nervous where it was sourced. And fishing is so destructive, and especially just in the name of sharks, like bycatch. At least in the United States, bycatch is like the biggest thing that's hitting them. So for those reasons, like I really try, I avoid seafood. And Seaspiracy kind of like like. Seconded that opinion. It definitely it kind of affirmed that for me as well. But I also want to be transparent. I think it's a personal choice as far as what people choose to do. So if future viewers get grumpy about me saying this, I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not imposing this on you. This is my personal choice. It's very complicated because fisheries, it's an economy, it's a livelihood, it's a cultural thing. It's very, very complicated. So yeah, and I respect how complicated it is. So it's my personal choice, but I do respect how complicated it is. So, but anyway, we were talking about this shark, and when we started the stream, both Howard and I were really surprised that there wasn't a lot of information on the Great Hammerhead. Like it's such a charismatic shark. It is such a it's the biggest hammerhead. It's always on Shark Week. It's always there, but there's not a lot of information on it. And we just you actually joined in at a great time, Roy, because Howard and I were reviewing the this is from the NOAA. What is this? Sorry. The Great Hammerhead Shark Status Review Report from NOAA. This is the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration of the United States. And this has given us the most information so far. There's a lot of cool facts about the Great Hammerhead. For example, it is potentially immune to stingray venom and catfish venom. Stingrays and catfish are a favorite prey item, so it actually might be immune to that. It has this really cool habit of pinning the stingrays down with its giant head. And the biggest thing that we're kind of learning is that it's a critically endangered shark, but the assessment from the IUCN Red List is saying that we're kind of classifying as critically endangered as a precaution. We actually don't have a lot of information on it. And this NOAA report is kind of saying the same thing. It's like, yeah, there's not a lot of reliable information on how damaged this population is. This shark actually has a bigger litter size, 6 to 42 pups, and it comparatively has like a shorter. I mean, it has a shorter gestation period, 7 months, but it also has a 2 year It has like a 2 year reproductive cycle because it takes I think it takes a 2 year break. But long story short, as far as sharks go, great hammerheads are not super slow growing, not super late maturing, and they might be okay as far as like future prospects for its conservation. The species might recover more than what you would think for hammerhead sharks. So I fully support the critically endangered status. I think that's appropriate because hammerheads are biologically sensitive species, but in general. But it is encouraging to see like, oh, we actually don't know a lot about the great hammerhead, and what little we do know might suggest that it's actually not doing as bad as we think. So I just noticed that the music kind of cut out a little bit. So it's almost 11, but we'll keep going a little bit. I just want to catch up where I was left off. I think we were talking about, where was this? We already read that. We talked about distribution. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we were talking about the fisheries bodies. This is why I went on a Seaspiracy tangent. So there we go. Okay, so catching up. So, immunity to stingray venom is not surprising. Yeah, yeah, that's totally fair. Given its habits. So. Ooh, this is interesting. So U.S. commercial fisheries. The commercial shark fishery has been sporadic in nature. In the early 1900s, a Pacific shark fishery supplied limited demands for fresh shark fillets and fish meal, as well as more substantial market for dried fins and soup fin sharks. In 1937, the price of soup fin shark liver skyrocketed. It was discovered to be the richest source of vitamin A available in commercial quantities. A shark fishery in the Caribbean off the west coast of Florida and the Gulf of Mexico developed in response to this demand. By 1950, the availability of synthetic vitamin A caused most shark fisheries to be abandoned. Interesting. This is a good refresher. I knew this, but it's been a while since I had a refresher on what happened in the United States. So, in late 1970s, however, the U.S. Atlantic shark fishery developed rapidly due to increased demand for their meat, fins, and cartilage. At the time, sharks were perceived to be underutilized as a fishery resource. The high commercial value of shark fins led to a controversial practice of finning or removing the valuable fins from sharks and storing the carcass. Growing demand for shark products encouraged expansion of the commercial fisheries through the late 1970s and the 80s. Now, in general, like for sharks in general, the 80s I think is the beginning of us being like, wait a minute, this is crashing. Something's wrong. Like we're overly utilizing them. I feel like the 80s was really the beginning of that, and then the 90s was sort of the beginning of like implementing management measures and starting to really like study sharks and appreciate them for the beautiful animals that they are and not like monsters. So tuna and swordfish vessels began to retain a greater proportion of their shark incidental catch, and some directed fishery effort expanded as well. As catch accelerated through the 1980s, shark stocks started to show signs of decline. There you go. Below describes various gears that are used in the commercial shark fishery. We won't go into these tonight because this is more about the fishery in general, but not so much hammerheads. Or the great hammerhead. However, the following table shows domestic commercial landings of the hammerhead species, which are compiled from the most recent stock assessment documents. So, interesting. A lot of scalloped hammerheads in 2012. not as many great hammerheads overall, and then a bunch of unclassified hammerheads, and that's a huge problem. Like it's really scary how much of this how high that proportion is of unclassified hammerheads, because each species is so different, and yet if you can't identify them, I mean, how are we going to be informed as far as conservation management? So it's interesting. Okay. Oh, this is cool. This might be, since it is getting close to 11, this might be kind of a cool thing to end on. Essential fish habitat, all great hammerhead. So I'm kind of curious what this is. Identified by the light purple area. This actually, on a personal level, kind of makes me happy. What is this? Okay, in the United States Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ, and fun fact, every country has an EEZ. Every country that touches the ocean has an EEZ, and I believe it is, oh gosh, it's like 200 miles offshore. Um, so, and or whatever the midpoint is between two countries. For example, the Florida, or like the United States, like the Florida part of the United States and the Bahamas, basically like meet in the middle for their exclusive economic zone. So this is a really important fisheries term. So, but this requires NIMF's National Marine Fisheries Service to identify and describe essential fish habitat, minimize the adverse effects of fishing, and identify actions to encourage the conservation and enhancement of essential fish habitat. This essential fish habitat is habitat necessary for spawning, breeding, feeding, and growth to maturity, and requires the identification of it in fisheries management plans, FMPs. Towards that end, NIMPS has funded 2 cooperative survey programs intended to help delineate shark nursery habitats in the Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico. The Cooperative Atlantic States Shark Puppy Nursery Coast Span Survey and the Cooperative Gulf of Mexico Shark Puppy Nursery Gulf Span Survey are designed to assess the geographical and seasonal extent of shark nursery habitat, to determine which shark species use these areas, and gauge the relative importance of these coastal habitats for use in essential fisheries habitat determinations. Below are the designated areas on the U.S. coast to support the essential fisheries habitat for great hammerhead sharks. Note, at this time, insufficient data are available to differentiate this by size class. Therefore, this is the same for all life stages. So this is extremely cool. I know that was really long-winded, but I kind of love this. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Oh my god, I'm really... Gosh. That's a first. Happy Victoria Day. That was a Victoria Day sneeze. So... sorry. So anyway... this is really cool. This is... it's been a while since I've seen a map like this. But this is basically like the super great hammerhead zones. Like, these are the zones that are like the most important for the entire life history of great hammerheads. On a selfish level, I am really excited to see that parts of the Mid-Atlantic, kind of my part of the sea, are identified as essential fisheries habitat. What I really like, by the way, is when you look at here, see this gap right here? Because like I live in the Chesapeake Bay area, and this gap right here it's fascinating that it's not identified because that's correlated with a nutrient deficient zone. I know from like wildlife tours and from going out to Norfolk Canyon myself, the zone between Norfolk Canyon and the coast is actually again a nutrient deficient zone, and it's actually really cool that that correlates with the fact that it's not identified as essential habitat for great hammerhead, which might want to be in nutrient-rich zones for prey items and such. So that's actually really cool that like the Virginia, Maryland coast to the shelf, Southern Virginia, Virginia Beach, and that may be a little bit more conservative because great hammerheads are a bit rarer in this area. But then like the shelf along the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, and what's actually really cool 1999 is the bars, 2009 is the pink lines. It's actually really cool to see that Florida might be like a super spot for great hammerheads, if I'm reading that correctly. This is really cool. So great hammerheads can occur anywhere along here, but the purple areas are like they're super, super like these are really important for this species. So, and this might be our first essential fish habitat map. That I think that's actually extremely cool. So, I love data like this, and I love maps like this. So, anyway, I'm catching up on the comments. So, great Floridian hammerheads. Yeah, long weekend allergies were painful. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I was telling. I was saying at the top of the stream. I actually did my first snorkel of the year last weekend. The water just got warm enough. So I went to a place in Hampton, Virginia. That's like a secret spot. Didn't really see much. I saw seagrass, which was kind of kind of on the biology level that was really cool, or an ecology level that was really cool, but no major fish. I still have this is my GoPro. I still have yet to identify what I have on here. So if I have anything, I'll show it on the next stream. So, but let's go back to, since we're almost at 11. Let's go back to this footage. This is actually some really gorgeous footage by Rainer Hink. So please like and subscribe. Super cool. Of great hammerheads, and we'll close out with this footage. But I have a question as a non-Canadian. What does Victoria Day celebrate? Like I'm assuming it's Queen Victoria, but what is the point of Victoria Day? Like what is a celebration, and are there any activities that people do for Victoria Day, or is it like just a like a day off, like a commemorative day off? Or snorkeling sounds really fun. I hope to try it someday. Yes. So Roy, I would recommend. I mean, anywhere for like first time snorkeling. Actually, the closest would be there are. It sounds strange, but anywhere in New England, maybe even like Bay of Fundy. I don't know about Bay of Fundy, but anywhere in New England, even though it's cold. Like it'd probably be a good spot because the water is very clear. If you have a wetsuit, like that's a really cool place to snorkel. I have a friend out west in the Pacific Northwest, and the water, even though it's cold, it's clear enough to snorkel. And then anywhere in the like Bahamas, Florida, like just those are great places. Virginia is I love my state, but it's not a great place to snorkel. It's the water is too murky. I just find weird places that I can actually do it. But Howard, it's Victoria's birthday. Gotcha. Fireworks, barbecues, drinking. This sounds really nice. That sounds like that actually sounds like 4th of July here, like Independence Day here. That sounds very similar to what we do for Independence Day. So very cool. I know this weekend extra day off and celebrate something. So yeah, that's really cool. What's funny too is for next week for the Americans, it's Memorial Day. So Memorial Day is more so for like American veterans, and it's a day off. We don't really celebrate. We more so like venerate. So there's no specific tradition. It's more so like I think usually at the Capitol they do a program, and it is really more of like a solemn day. It is a day off, but it is more of like a solemn day in the United States. So that's actually going to be next week and next Monday. But it's interesting that Victoria Day and Memorial Day, they actually lined up so similarly, just a week apart, and they're both May days off. So but. Next week, we're going to be doing the sicklefin lemon shark. So that's another tropical species that's going to be really exciting. Before we go, did you guys do anything like fun for the weekends? I know Howard, you said earlier that you were dropping off family. Roy, did you? I don't know if I misread your comment. Did you say you were fighting off allergies this weekend? And also, like, Roy, this is really random. Howard and I were talking about wolverines, and like wolverines in Canada. Do you live in a part of Canada that has wolverines? We were talking about like human predators, kind of at the middle of the stream. I'm kind of curious. I'm amazed that Howard is in an area that has wolverines. Like I can't imagine a Wolverine country. Uh, lemon sharks. Yeah. I think the most dangerous thing that we have. Roy, nope, I live in the city. Gotcha. In Virginia, I think the most dangerous thing that we have. There's a couple ones. Probably black bears. Black bears are not very aggressive, but they can really cause a lot of damage. And it's a powerful, dangerous. I mean, like it's a powerful animal, but it's not aggressive. It's nothing like a grizzly bear. It keeps to itself for the most part. So we have that, and then we have cottonmouths. It's a very venomous snake. It's in southern Virginia. Timber rattlesnakes are venomous, very venomous as well. And I think that's really it. We have black widow spiders, but they're not. I mean, they're bad, but it's north of me. But I have friends and family up north. Gotcha. Wolverine country is north of you, but friends and family up north. Gotcha. Oh man, that's wild. That blows my mind, Howard. This is just so. I mean, it's the closest thing I have to Wolverine is the X-Men character. It's so like foreign to like my hiking and things trails I've been on. It's really cool actually, and terrifying. But Rory bears are no joke. Yeah. Yeah, my family, like my parents, they live in an area that is close to the Appalachian Mountains, and they have bears like going through their yard, like now and then, and it's eerie to see them. They're not these cute fluffy teddy bears. They're like black, like giant, like I don't know. I think the scariest animal I've probably seen so far probably is a giant alligator. It's probably the most terrifying animal I've seen so far. Like an alligator the size of a car is probably the scariest thing I've seen so far. But anyway. But this hammerhead shark, this great hammerhead, super cool animal. Like we learned a lot. It started off. This was a really good stream. It started off with like not a lot of information, and slowly but surely, we learned a lot about the species. And specifically, the biggest thing and the biggest surprise is that it actually might be okay. It might not be in as dire of a situation as other kinds of hammerhead sharks. Oh, and Howard, you point out a hook in a cephalofoil. I think this is the shot you were talking about. So I just want to shout out to that. So, yeah, like it's one of those, or like I'm very happy to read and to dive into the fact that like as far as a conservation standpoint goes. We're being cautious and we're being very, very, and rightfully so. Hammerheads tend to be sensitive, or are sensitive, so it's better to be on the safe side as far as like the critically endangered status. But it's very nice to see that there is hope, and this actually might be doing better than we think, and we might be looking forward to a future where there will be more great hammerhead sharks and that the status will improve. So, as always, as on these streams, when we see that kind of hope, it's, very encouraging, I think, to have a positive outlook in our modern world as far as conservation goes is, really, really exciting when that happens. So, and I'm happy that it there might be hope with such a charismatic, large, awesome, unmistakable shark. So, I just saw your comment. Golf cart allegories for beasts. I really like how dynamic they are in their maneuverability because of the huge fin. Yes. I was saying earlier, I love how charismatic great hammerheads are. Like there's nothing else like it. That was a cool. Yeah, there's that cool shot of the bull shark again. Sorry, I want to rewind to the great hammerhead. there's nothing else like this shark. It's just like it's so dramatic in its body, like in its shape and its features, like the sharpness of the fins, the superlative size of the fins, like the size of the animal itself. It's there's nothing else like it. So it's pretty amazing. But we're at the top of the hour, so I will probably have to go and wrap it up for tonight. But thank you guys. Oh, sorry. Ah, all right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really glad that we can celebrate Victoria Day with a suitably amazing shark. Like this is a really cool shark, and this is a really cool shark to do on a holiday. So I'm really glad we could do this together. Hope you guys had a great Victoria Day, and I can't wait to see you next week for the sicklefin lemon shark. But hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and thanks again for watching. Stay tuned. Stay tuned next week. Next week is the American holiday, Memorial Day. So, and I promise I will not. I will be here. I will not get confused by the weekend because Martin Luther King Jr. Day really threw me off, and I missed that stream. So, night, guys. Have a good one and take care. Thanks.